Padme has been captured by the Separatists, and Jar Jar Binks is her only hope of rescue. Oh boy. We watched Bombad Jedi for our Clone Wars Chronological Rewatch, so now it's time to break it all down.
Padme, C-3PO, and Jar Jar travel to the Outer Rim planet Rhodia without a clone trooper escort on a diplomatic mission to meet her uncle Ono.
Of course it's not her real uncle, just a fond nickname for the Rhodian Senator Anaconda Farr, who you might recognize from his very brief appearance in Attack of the Clones.
Unfortunately, the Republic hasn't been very helpful to the Rhodians, so Farr reveals that he has joined the Separatists and imprisons Padme. Jar Jar puts on a set of Jedi robes as a disguise so he can mount a rescue while 3PO signals the clones.
That's a funny little exchange when he discovers the robes and asks who they could belong to. 3PO obviously knows they're Anakin's, but for once keeps his mouth shut. In Legends, Captain Panaka leaks their secret wedding to Palpatine, and that's still a possibility in canon, but I could also see Jar Jar's little adventure here helping people start to connect the dots between Anakin and Padme.
When Senator Farr realizes Nute Gunray plans to execute Padme, he begins to have a change of heart. Jar Jar saves her from the droid firing line with the help of a new aquatic friend, and Anaconda turns on Gunray just as the clones arrive to arrest him, mistaking Jar Jar as one of their generals.
The message of this episode is that heroes are made by the times, and I think that's kind of trying to say that heroes do the best with what they're given. Like, Jar Jar didn't specifically choose to be a hero. He just knew that he was the only one available to save Padme, so he knew that he had to do it.
Right.
Kind of like the Gandalf line, we don't get to choose the times that we live in, we only get to choose what to do with the time that's given to us.
So Padme has a line in this episode that is, too often we forget that our most important allies are not always the most powerful, which we both agreed kind of would have been maybe a better theme for this episode, or one that made a little more sense.
Yeah, I figured that, that immediately was like, well, that sounds exactly like what this episode is trying to say, but I guess that's just too much text for the blue on black screen.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is all about having kind of unexpected friends save the day. Jar Jar being the central figure, where everyone throughout the episode is like, oh, well, we've got Jar Jar here, so that's great.
Yeah.
And yet he pulls through.
Yeah. It reminded me a lot of the Ewoks in Return of the Jedi. Like, they end up on this planet with these carnivorous teddy bears, basically. And at first they're like, oh, you guys can't help us. And they end up helping them a lot.
Yeah, they saved the day. So yeah, it is exactly that. I hadn't made that connection at all. But yeah, the Ewoks aren't the most powerful, you wouldn't think. But then they are the most important allies that the rebels have in that moment. And similar to that, like, we have Jar Jar and this swamp creature. He makes friends with a very unexpected ally, this non-sentient being, animal, that he then befriends, and it helps him save the day. So yeah, that message is repeated over and over and over.
Yeah. It's very similar to the Ryloth episodes, I think, like with Rhodia and Ryloth.
Yeah, and that's kind of, I guess, what changes in this episode, and the biggest version of this message is that Rhodia feels unimportant. They feel like the Republic isn't treating them correctly.
Yeah.
And yeah, exactly like Ryloth, their people are starving, they need supplies, and even though Anaconda Farr and Padme are dear friends from way back when, he has to do what's best for his people. So he betrays her.
But she's kind of on this mission to prove him wrong, and she even, gives up the opportunity to get sort of like a vengeance that she might have against him, but...
Yeah, it's very much like a Civil War situation. That's what the Separatist crisis is in the Clone Wars. It's a civil war, like brother against brother, friend against friend. But Padme breaks that cycle and says, like, I could arrest you or do something to you, but instead I'll just pretend you were in on this all along.
Yeah.
And that's what brings Rhodia back into the fold, I guess. And hopefully they get the supplies that they need and the respect from the Republic that they deserve. Before closing out, let's go over some of the random pieces of trivia from the episode. Padme's turban-like headdress is a purple variation of a white shroud that was designed but not used for Episode 2.
A Rhodia salute of greeting appears to be open hands, palms down, crossed over the chest.
The Quazel Maw design is based on unused Ralph McQuarrie designs for a swamp slug creature on Dagobah. You can also find those facts on StarWars.com's episode guides, and they're currently doing a chronological rewatch on their website as well if you want to check that out. I'll put a link in the description of all the episodes listed out chronologically, but that's it for today. Next week, we'll cover Season 1, Episode 9, Cloak of Darkness if you want to watch along. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel,
Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
and consider checking out our Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.